The hardest thing for anybody to do when it comes down to what the media creates, when it comes to division between all of us, is to remain focused, can get rid of all emotions no matter which side of the aisle you're on. I want to do an update on the Benjamin Martin case that I just found about today and the shooting, death, murder of Officer Roger Smith. Now, earlier today I did a part one on the case, and there's very limited information that's coming out. The Wake County prosecutor is not apparently releasing information, not making statements. A judge has denied requests to release any type of hospital camera footage. But I want to put, as this case goes on, I want to put you in a position to start asking yourselves, are you purposely being fed a narrative to either be pro-police, anti-police, pro-black community, anti-black community? And where's your head at when you are properly discerning information? Because new information came out to me earlier today. I want to post this. Now, this is from Joe Grimaldi, who's vice president of the FOP, right? The largest police union in the United States, Fraternal Order of Police. This is at the time of the shooting. Tragic news out of North Carolina. Wake Med campus police officer was shot and killed, murdered in cold blood. The monster who murdered him is in custody. Please keep Officer Roger Smith's family and coworkers in your thoughts and prayers for RIP brother. Now, number one, I thought that cops act on facts and evidence. Murder requires intent. Now, the last couple of days I've been talking about the fact, and it's been really angering a lot of you out there, should police officers be so proficient at their job that remove any type of doubt of whether or not they violate somebody's civil rights, and should an American citizen be afforded the Second Amendment to use those rights against tyranny if it's the case? This is ironic that I stumbled across this case today because I'm going to ask you questions. Questions that the prosecutor should be held accountable to answer and release to the public because we demand full transparency. I think it's irresponsible of Joe Grimaldi, who is supporting police. You could put your outrage out there. You could put your animosity towards the death of somebody. But you can't label somebody a murderer, and you can't label somebody a monster until you have all the facts. That discredits all police and police supporters, no matter how bad you think it is. I want to play this video from earlier. This is one of the initial reportings on the incident, and I want us to listen to the importance, the weight, the heroic, the light that they put former deceased officer Roger Smith in. And I also want to have public statements that were released and ask you, is this responsible or is this eradicating due process as we speak? I know a lot of you guys can't stand when I criticize Grady Judd for doing his morning coffee and using his large platform to sway the people and look at somebody as a criminal without due process. And I keep asking, will these people ever get a full trial? Now, I know nothing about Benji Martin Jr., haven't spoken to him, have not spoken to anybody from his family, but I want to look at, is the media being fair? And are we being fair when we are getting all the information to discern? Because the flip side of that coin is, if the media does this and the information comes out and it conflicts it, that means they lied to vilify somebody who's innocent only to honor a cop because that's all they do. I'm going to play this, and then we're going to have a discussion on some follow-up information.
News here at 6 o'clock. We have just learned the name of the man charged with murdering a Wake Med police officer. This happened at the Wake Med Garner Healthplex around 9 this morning. Thank you for joining us this evening. I'm Eric Miller. A procession took place for 59-year-old Officer Roger Smith's body from Wake Med Garner to the state medical examiner's office in Raleigh. This evening, we're learning he was a former Knightdale police officer. In just the last 30 minutes, Garner police announced the arrest of 29-year-old Benji Martin Jr. and charged him with murder in Smith's death. They've not said anything about what led up to this shooting. WRL's Kirsten Clark leads on.
So here we have it. We have information the media is purposely releasing out. Hero police officer, but they're not going to tell the public of what led to the shooting. So we don't know. So they irresponsibly release one-sided information.
Off our team coverage tonight, Kirsten is live outside of Wake Med in Garner. Kirsten, how is this officer being remembered tonight?
Eric, this is a truly heartbreaking situation. We learned Smith was a Knightdale police officer from 1997 to 2013. And in 2023, he celebrated 10 years of service at Wake Med. Now, we've seen an outpouring of love and prayers for Officer Smith and his family since this morning. And I actually spoke with two people who were friends with Officer Smith. One of them was a former law enforcement officer himself, and he told me he attended Garner High School with Smith.
To me, he epitomizes what it means to be a law enforcement officer. He wasn't one of these guys out here that was hard, fast, and want to get in a fight or write tickets, and he just wanted to do a job and make the community safer.
I also texted with a former coworker and another close friend of Smith. He told me that Smith was always a very decent and giving person. WRAL's Laura Levine spoke with people nearby as the scene here unfolded this morning.
A startling scene.
Now we have witnesses. The media is going to talk about witnesses. I'm fine with them, the media releasing information about a cop and glorifying him. I'm fine because God knows the media does its fair share with the cap and gown pics with the black community, right? And we have. Do not make any mistake in my message that from within the black community, there is a portion of that culture that is committing an astronomical, unbalanced level of violence. And the media loves to play on it. And the media loves to spark emotions and outrage. And what do? We have cops who do the job righteously, district and state attorneys who don't do their job. Recidivism is out of control. Black mobs are just absolutely destroying cities and any type of a semblance of a properly functioning society. But the media will make you think that you're a racist by showing the cap and gown pictures. So I know what they're doing. I understand that and I accept it. Again, I'm not defending Benji Martin. At this point, he's being charged with murder. I'm going to wait for all the evidence to come out. But I'm simply asking, did all the evidence come out? And what is the media trying to portray from Wake County, North Carolina? Because now they're going to put witnesses on. And keep something in mind. You can't put toothpaste back in the tube. The court of public opinion right now is the most powerful guilt assignment on the planet. Doesn't matter if somebody is vindicated later on. Whatever information the media and social media put out will jail somebody for the rest of their life. If they are convicted of child molestation and it is found out to be an angry ex-spouse who completely made it up, that person will always be labeled as such. So listen to the witnesses and what they say and ask yourself, can this information be taken back out of the public?
Saturday morning at the Wake Med Garner Healthplex and surrounding areas.
We were here all set up for the event, and all of a sudden we started hearing police cars.
Law enforcement spanning several agencies rushed to the scene after police say someone shot a police officer around 9 a.m.
It's definitely not something you see every.
Okay, so first thing, we have the media's reporting someone shot a police officer. That's pretty fucking serious. Someone shot a police officer. The public hears that, they tune everything else out. But let's continue.
Every day, folks were really worried about it. One, because you don't see that many police cars at one time without it being something super serious.
And then when they pulled into the hospital, it was like they jumped out of the cars with shields and guns. So we knew something serious was going on.
Small businesses at the Agri Supply began their day hoping to see a lot of foot traffic at their bi-monthly event.
People are just kind of paying attention to what's over there. So it's been a little bit slow this morning.
Now heartbroken to learn about what happened right across the street.
It was a little concerning because we're so close.
Wake Med officials say the campus police officer was working in the emergency room department lobby at the time, and a struggle ensued. Officer Roger Smith succumbed to the injuries sustained.
Doing his job, that is sad. That is really, really sad. You at the front desk and somebody come in shooting. Very sad.
You heard what she said. I'm going to replay this. The media, which was unable to verify anything, put this information out.
The front desk and somebody come in shooting.
One more time. Here's a witness. This witness was outside. There's been no verification of this. This is what this witness said on the news, and it is now out in perpetuity.
Job, that is sad. That is really, really sad. You at the front desk and somebody come in shooting. Very sad.
So we have the public stating, and the media released it, that an offender entered the hospital, came past the front desk, and started shooting, which then would make you think that Officer Roger Smith responded, ran towards the gunfire in order to wind up taking on the threat, eliminating the threat. In the process, he paid the ultimate sacrifice on duty. This is what the media is portraying him as, and clearly, this is where FOP vice president then coins its phrase, this is a monster who murdered him, and this is how this goes. We need to find more information.
His fellow brothers in blue held a procession escorting his body from the hospital to the medical examiner's office. Governor Josh Stein sharing his condolences, stating, "My heart goes out to the family of Officer Roger Smith, who was killed protecting patients and their families. Law enforcement officers put themselves in harm's way to keep us safe, and we are forever grateful for Officer Smith's sacrifice."
My prayers go out to his family. My prayers go out to his family and everybody involved.
Laura Levine, WREL News in Garner.
Now, I was curious in looking into things because I had heard some things, and there was his first appearance in the courtroom today, or I'm sorry, not today, November 24th. I want to play this as well, too, because I want to get the judge, whether or not the judge will release security footage from the hospital. That's important. If we learned anything from Chicago back when Rahm Emanuel was running for re-election and he shelved for 18 months the Laquan McDonald shooting, what did we see? That government does not want police transparency. If the state's attorney or district or state attorney for Wake County is so confident in a murder conviction that they charged murder, that has to have intent behind it and some damning evidence. You need full transparency to prevent a race riot, anything else. Release the hospital footage. It is a no-brainer. It will not hurt your case. If anything, it will make your case stronger. But apparently the judge doesn't want that out.
Dewan Hogard was inside that downtown Raleigh courtroom now. He joins us live outside our downtown Raleigh newsroom with the details now. Dewan.
Well, Steve, this afternoon we learned brand new details from the defense attorneys about what may have happened there the morning of November 8th at the Wake Med Healthplex there in Garner. And according to a court filing, defense attorneys for Benji Martin claimed that he went there to the Healthplex to seek mental health treatment after he and his fiancee suffered a miscarriage, and he was there to get some help.
Benji Martin Jr. Sir, you've been charged with first-degree murder.
29-year-old Benji Martin making his first court appearance this afternoon. Martin arrested and charged with murder for allegedly shooting and killing 59-year-old Wake Med police officer Roger Smith at Wake Med Healthplex Garner on November 8th.
The maximum sentence for that, sir, is life without the possibility of parole or the death penalty, sir.
Law enforcement says there was an apparent struggle inside the emergency room lobby that ultimately left Smith dead. Martin was also shot and was released from the hospital this past Friday before appearing in front of a Wake County magistrate. According to court documents obtained by Eyewitness News, the defense for Martin claims he was seeking mental health treatment after his fiancee suffered a miscarriage while being pregnant with twins.
Sent him to the doctors to get help, and we end up like this. And that's not fair to him. He was wanting help. He wasn't wanting to hurt anybody.
The family says law enforcement has said they have footage of the encounter between Officer Smith and Martin and has yet to see it. In court, the prosecution did not provide any details about the case just 1 week after Officer Smith was laid to rest.
Also want to send out our condolences for the officer and his family. We, the family, ask for prayers, we ask for compassion, and we ask for fairness.
Well, you're not going to get it because you know how blacks are treated in America when it comes to this, especially when the client has braids or dreads in his hair, right? A couple different things. Now, a lot of things people don't, you need evidence and facts to back things up, and experience never really comes out to play. I want to ask a couple questions before going into an article that I found that the media doesn't want to seem to get information out. It was given third party. I contacted Martin's lawyer looking for a comment. She hasn't responded yet. But when it comes to the black community, a lot of us who are cops know the behavior from the thugs, if you will, and the ones who are problem childs. And I can't speak to Benji Martin's character, Benji Martin Jr.'s character. I can't. But my first red flag to seeing any kind of correlation between this black man with dreads in court who's being paraded around as a murderer and vilified by the media by omission of what happened to him doesn't make sense that in today's day and age, with how society is in the black community, that a black young man would stick around and want to be a father to 2 children. Doesn't make sense. That doesn't fit the culture for black criminality in the United States. Doesn't make sense that Benji Martin Sr. was at a press conference and you didn't hear the typical urban dialect of the black community. You heard education. So yeah, to be a little bit racial because you have to wind up connecting culture with criminality. Benji Martin, from the very short, small information that we can attain off of him, doesn't seem like somebody who would be a criminal that goes right out for murder. And what man goes to get psychological help after receiving the information that your twins had just been miscarried? That's not somebody who's in a position to intent commit a crime. Again, conjecture on my part. Complete just putting 2 and 2 together of what I know about black criminality from years of working as a cop and as a citizen who is right outside of Chicago and deals with it, and the difference of what isn't. This is an article, and again, I'm just simply asking questions because I asked this question earlier today because it didn't make sense. Hospital worker, and if I was going to be defending Benjamin Martin, this are a couple things I would want. The media is regarding Officer Roger Smith as a hero. Fine. Pay the ultimate price. I want to know what Officer Smith's training records were for any type of crisis intervention, de-escalation skills. Were they pass or fail? Were they extensive? Were they simply just annual to keep up hospital insurance or law enforcement insurance? I want to know what his proficiency were at the range. I want to know what his health was. How was his blood pressure? How is his level of obesity? How is his fitness and training? Because I do know, as a defensive tactics expert, that when we do have guys, now I'm 50, he's 59. The older we get, our cardio goes out of shape. Benjamin Martin, I believe, is 26. You go hands-on with a 26-year-old who may be having an erratic, manic, what did we used to call it? Oh, I can't remember the name of it. Psychological episode. Are we going to get exhausted because we're out of shape and we're old and we're a little bit complacent? The less oxygen that we have in our body because our muscles fatigue faster because we have more body fat. Are we going to be losing a fight and we go directly to the pistol as that great equalizer? These are things that the public deserves to know, because if we are going to continue to employ fat, out of shape, retired on duty cops, I'm not saying that's what Roger Smith was. He could have been an Ironman who does triathlons, who is a power lifter. He could have been all those things. But if he wasn't, that is going to be something that's relevant for the case of why he chose to go to his pistol inside of a hospital on a subject who showed up for mental health reasons. This is just an article. This is all I'm putting up. This is by unpluggedtvmedia.com. I can't vouch for the validity of this other than it was sent to me by a third party to look into, to ask specific questions. Raleigh, North Carolina. New alleged information surfaced regarding the tragic shooting that left Wake Med police officer Roger Smith dead. Unplugged TV has spoken exclusively with a hospital worker who was present during the encounter, and she wished to remain anonymous, and a family friend who accompanied the 29-year-old Benjamin Martin Jr. of Garner, North Carolina, to the hospital. According to both witnesses, Martin's mental state had deteriorated just days before the incident after his girlfriend, who was pregnant with twins, had lost one of the babies. Well, that was verified by the media report that we had seen. Friends say the loss caused Martin to experience mental breakdown. According to accounts provided to Unplugged TV, Martin reportedly visited a local tobacco store and purchased edible products, which he consumed all at once. Shortly after, a friend identified only as Josh found Martin at his home, unconscious and foaming at the mouth. Josh then rushed him to Wake Med Hospital for medical attention and mental evaluation. Once checked in, Martin allegedly began screaming and acting erratically, but witnesses say he did not attack anyone. It was at that point Officer Roger Smith allegedly confronted Martin, which led to Officer Roger Smith to grab Martin by the neck with his left hand and unholstered his firearm with his right. A physical struggle ensued. According to those present, Martin, still disoriented, pleaded with Smith not to shoot him. During the struggle, Smith fired a shot into Martin's stomach. The altercation continued, and sources allege the officer shot again and accidentally shot himself in the leg. Another subsequent round reportedly struck Officer Smith in the chest, which bystanders are alleging was a fatal wound to him. Witnesses claim that Martin was placed into custody immediately following the shooting and was transported to the jail before passing out due to his injuries. Authorities rushed him back to Wake Med Emergency for surgery, where he reportedly underwent 6 to 7 blood transfusions and spent 6 hours in intensive care. A brief background check by Unplugged TV found that Benjamin Martin Jr. has no prior criminal record. Neighbors and friends describe him as a quiet, hardworking family man, keeps to himself, and would never do something like this. A close friend identified as Stetson confirmed the same account and questioned the officer's decision to use lethal force. Quote, he wasn't attacking anyone, Stetson said. The officer grabbed him first. That's when everything went wrong. Family members and friends are now demanding Wake Med release hospital footage, claiming that the official narrative does not match what actually occurred. At the time of his mugshot, Benjamin Martin Jr. has not been released, and he remains in the hospital. We already saw where he went in front of the judge and what that. My question is simply this. This is important. If I need to be wrong and eat the biggest shit sandwich on the planet, I will fucking do it and ask for seconds. But why has that hospital footage not been released yet? What is the benefit? Is it a hard-on crimes district attorney who just jumps to charge? Because a couple different things don't make sense. Even if all things are true, Martin learned about the death of one of his twins. Girlfriend was struggling, I guess, with another one to follow through the pregnancy. He ate edibles, which caused him to be in a state of some type of manic, psychedelic whatnot. You can't prove intent to murder. The charge doesn't fit. There is no intent to murder. If you have witnesses, it's the investigator's job, the district attorney and the police, to find these witnesses. And if they have hospital footage, you better fucking release that hospital footage. Because number one, if it's completely the wrong way and you see Martin grabbing for his gun, you need to shut people like me the fuck up. If not, then we really need to put this information out there. Why would the media, who has no benefit for any consumption whatsoever for pro-law enforcement or pro-civilian, continue to spin one-side narrative if there's more information out there? Again, I can't release it, but I got information that the story that was on here is true. It's true. If that's the case, there needs to be a massive demand, civil protest, peaceful protest in front of the courthouse or whatnot to get that footage released. Because if the footage is not released and this man goes to trial based on the information that was simply out there, it's going to be an absolutely unjust conviction. Again, I'm putting this information out there for you to consume. This is just information that I got. I'm going to be following this story as time goes on. I don't trust it. Doesn't pass the sniff test. On a personal level, you don't hear a man who just found out that he lost one of his children, the trauma from that. His father is still in the picture. His father is well-spoken. His father is a janitor for a local college, holds a job, not a deadbeat man. So clearly, if his father is a janitor that works for a local college and he's featured on their website, it means he's probably instilled that value in his son. You look at Benji Martin's social media, it's nothing. There's nothing that shows him to be a piece of shit, thug, hood rat who is into all the normal black behavior that society just loves to vilify. It does not make any sense whatsoever for the prosecution to make their case that this man went to the hospital to cause a disturbance, took the gun of Officer Roger Smith and murdered him. If anything, he would have shot himself and ended his own life. That footage needs to be released. And I hope that the judge does the right thing and actually releases that footage, because so far that's not happening. I'm going to be staying on top of this story. I'm very curious to see what you think in the comment section, and let me know. But again, this just does not pass the smell test whatsoever. And I'm very much looking forward to see how this unfolds in the next couple of weeks, months. And I'm hoping that the truth does come out, because everyone, including Officer Smith and his family, everyone deserves the truth. And lastly, I'll put this. I know a lot of you don't understand this. I will never celebrate the death of a cop on duty, because we do not, unless I know, and I mean celebrate by honor, who that cop was. I don't know Officer Smith. Don't know his past. I don't know how he treated the public. You can only see what one person said on the news. I was around when Charles Joseph Glenowitz from the Fox Lake Police Department was honored nationally, when we believed that 3 people murdered him, and we celebrated his life and paraded him around like a goddamn hero, only to find out later on that wasn't the case. I remember Derek Chauvin being vilified nonstop ad nauseum, only to watch the public then later on turn on George Floyd because of his past criminal history. And they want to honor Derek Chauvin for what he did. The public is fickle. The public is easily swayed. The public is used and manipulated for whatever the powers that be want civil unrest. And this is the easiest way you do it. You take a cop, and just because he wears a badge, he's a hero. I don't feel so. It's not the case. Just because you wear a shiny piece of tin on your shirt does not make you a hero. I want the truth out. Everybody deserves it. And so does Martin.